Okay, hi, assalamu alaikum. So now we are covering Rule 14 in the Tajweed series, Rules of a Noon. The rules of Noon, there are many of them, but they're pretty simple once you break them down. And they apply to, at the end of the word, if you have the actual Noon letter or a Noon sound, which would be Tanween. Tanween looks like this, by the way. This is how it normally looks. If it looks different than that, that means it's a sign that something is up. So we're going to get into what that is exactly. If we have, there are like about 4 or 5 cases of combinations where there will be a word with a noon or tanween, and at the end, it'll end with that noon or tanween. And then the next word will begin with one of these letters. It doesn't really matter what order it is, as long as you know the rule that goes with the letter. What I did when I first began learning these is I just had a note card with me, and I wrote down when I would read, like let's say I read 1 page of Quran a day or something like that, I would have that note card with me, and I would just have these letters and the rule that applies. So then you'd always check back like, oh, what happens, and try to make that sound. So it's really simple once you learn these certain letters, and then the rest of them have their own rule. So let me just explain so you understand what I'm saying. So like if you have a word that ends with a noon or tanween at the end, remember this is like tanween, it's the noon sound, and the next word begins with either ra or lam. It will, if that's the case, it will always have a shadda, and that is your hint something is up. And usually this tanween will look crazy, or it'll look like this, like kind of askew. They're not uniform lines, or like this separated, if it's the un. And the noon will have no visible sukoon. For most of the rules, the noon will have no visible sukoon, and that's the way you know, okay, one of these weird rules apply. So when you look here and you see a lam or a ra, you will automatically know, okay, I just drop that noon sound and I do complete blending. So I just connect the old word, take off that noon sound and connect it to this, and pronounce this as like two of and there will be nothing before this. There will be no alif lam, there will be nothing. So we did not see this in any previous case of in Surah Al-Fatiha. There was no case of noon. So so that's one rule, where you just drop the noon sound, you do complete blending, and you go straight to one of these, because it's not like you can say unra. It'd be hard, like, and the Arabs like to smooth everything out. So you just go ur, ra, or something like this. So remember you're doing it twice, and or ul, la, or whatever the ending sound is. After you take off the noon, you just connect it automatically to one of these, depending on which one comes next. And then do it as you normally would with the shadda. So you're just going to the shadda. Then the next rule, and again, the sukoon either is not gonna, the noon at the end of the word will not have anything on it. It will just like be blank, or the sukoon or the tanween will look a little weird, like this. Okay, and the next letter, it's gonna be blending with ghunna. This is the new rule, and you're gonna hold it for 2 harakat, and it's either gonna be meme or noon. And basically it's the same. You're just dropping, like if this was a noon sound, I would just drop that noon completely and make it an M. And if it's a noon sound, then basically it's like 2 noons. So either way, you just drop whatever, and then just go here, go to the shadda. The same rule. Really, the rule is go to the shadda. That's like the easiest way. And when it's noon or meme, you're going to give it ghunna. You know, you're going to go n, or close your mouth for 2 harakat. So either one of those. Now this is the same rule with wow or yeah. It's blending with gunna, because you do gunna, but I kind of like to have it separate because these are really weird letters. So when you have it, it'll still look the same. It'll have these askew tanweens, or the noon will have nothing on it, right? And it'll be kind of like this. I wrote an example here because it's really weird. And you can see that in the third ayah of Mesed. And if you continued out of this word to this one, this is where it would happen. You see that askew tanween? That's the hint something is up. So lahabiu watab. So basically, you're blending with gunna. So you're gonna drop off that little. You can take off one of these and keep that sound, but drop the end sound. So if you took one off, it'll be like that. And the same with any of the, and same thing, like if with any of the tanweens. If you took off one, if the next letter is wow or yeah, that's the easiest way to explain it. You take off one, and then you kind of hold it and do gunna in your nose for like 2 harakat, and go to the next letter. So this one would be lahabiu watab, and then you go on in normal. Oh, I'm sorry, not watab. What? It goes on to something else. But so that's the sound. You know, it's ew. You're kind of blending e and wa together. Wow together. And then after the 2 gunna, then you do the vowel sound that was on the wow. Okay, so I hope I made that clear. So it kind of sounds like ew. So if we had that combination, it would be ew, because I would just drop that. Okay, and then the same thing with the yeah. It's going to be like, they have some weird combinations, but basically that's the easiest way. Drop that last noon. If it's a tanween, drop one of the lines or one of the characters like that, and then make the sound and connect it to this letter and hold it for 2 harakat. It's gonna sound weird. These sound weird to me, so that's why I put them in green, because they kind of stand out. But it's really the same rule, blending with gunna. So you're just gonna do the gunna and then hold it for 2, and then go on as you normally would. This is like the last strange one. Not very strange, but this is changing. It's very simple. Very simple rule. Why is... Oh, okay. That's weird. Okay. So blending, it's if you have the noon or tanween again, and then you had a ba. This only happens if you have ba. So if you have ba as the next letter, what you would do is change the noon or the noon sound to an meme, and you would hold that for 2 harakat. Basically, you're doing gunna again, and you hold that for 2. Don't know if we have it here. In a case, I can show you. We can... Okay, well, I'll try to find one in a while. And so you just drop off that N, make it into an M, and hold it for 2 until you pronounce the ba, or B, ba, like whatever vowel it has. So that's pretty simple. And then this is the one where you're going to have a sign. Like this is going to be a clear, it's called clarity. Okay, so you're going to either have the visible sukoon over the noon, which looks like that. It's not going to be blank. It's going to look like this. I should have wrote it over here, but... Or the regular tanween, which looks like this. Normal. These are uniform lines. Like, it's not askew. You see how those are askew? Something is up with these. And these are the normal things. So then nothing is weird here. Nothing is weird here. Then you would just pronounce it like normal. You would just pronounce that noon for 1 point... Where did I write it down? 1.5 harakat. Very clear. clearly, normally, and then go to the next letter, which is going to be one of these letters. So you don't need to memorize these letters. All you need to memorize is that the noon will either have the visible sukoon or the tanween will look normal. And that's how you know it's this one. You don't need to memorize that. So if you know, if it's not normal, then you look to these rules. And if it's not any of those letters, which are like 5 letters, it's ba, ya, wow, noon, mim, ra, and lam. And these are going to be obvious because they're going to have a shadda on them. And basically, you're just going to go straight to them. If it's not any of those, then it's going to be hiding. That's the rule. Hiding. And these are what the actual rules are called. It's just translated into English. So it's the rest of the letters. If it's not any of those 5, and it's not this clear one, then basically the noon will have nothing on it, or the tanween will be askew, showing something is weird, and you're gonna hide that letter for 2 harakat, which means the noon, you kind of say it very lazily. You kind of say, and this is the case in here. Let me see, and this happens throughout the rest of the ghouls. It's gonna be, see the noon, there's nothing on it, so a hint something is up, and then sheen does not fit into any of these rules, so we know it's not clear because otherwise it would look normal. So it's not any of these like 5 or 6 letters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 letters. So then we know it's hiding. To do the hiding rule, you kind of say real lazy, barely hold your tongue, like this. Min sha, min sha. So you're holding it for 2 harakat, and you're not really doing gunna. You're not like doing where you kind of press in it. You're getting real lazy about it and barely doing your tongue, like barely, like have your tongue halfway when you say this. Min sha. And so you go on to the next. And this is just, again, smooth it out. This is something the Arabs do. I don't know why. I mean, it all has to do with where the letter, the noon, is coming from, and then the other letter, where the other letter is coming from. So they want to make it as smooth as possible, the sound of it. So that's one case of hiding, and that's throughout the rest, like especially every ayah, or almost every ayah, if not every ayah in this one. In Al-Falaq. And then here we have a case. This is a normal tanween. And then we have the case of clarity. Hasidin, din, idha. So you see, you pronounce that noon clearly for 1.5 seconds. The tanween looks normal. Okay, just do it normal. And clearly, because we see the other letter next is Hamza, which would be here in clarity. Let's look for some other ones. Again, this is with clarity. Because you have the noon sound, the tanween, it looks like a normal tanween, uniform lines, followed by a Hamza. So this would be غاسق إذا. So it's very clear. This hiding. And then this was an example of the blending with Gunna. And then here we have complete blending. Oh, my headphones keep falling off. So complete blending, where we have basically something is up. We know it's one of the weird rules, but we already see a shadda, so we just go ahead and go to straight to the shadda, drop the noon. So we drop one of these. Loom. So you go straight to it and hold it, the meme, for 2 harakat, and then you go on and pronounce the vowel sound on the second meme. Okay, so I mean that's really it. And like